Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a hump day edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Veterans Recruiting Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, y'all. Thanks for being here. LSU, how about it? LSU lands another elite offensive line commitment for the class of 2025. Four-star interior offensive lineman Devin Harper from Calvary Baptist up in Shreveport, 6'5", 300-pounder, picked LSU over Georgia and Tennessee. I mean, four-star, ranked in the composite, the number 156 overall prospect in the country. He's the number 7 interior offensive line in the country, and he's the 3rd best player in Louisiana. So now you've got the top 3 players in Louisiana committed for 2025 already. I mean, wow. Brad Davis was the lead recruiter here, and I'll tell you, I'm gonna do this today on AFR for sure. We don't give enough love and credit to Brad Davis. There were, if I actually went back and dug up some of your comments from the beginning of the 2022 season, not everybody, but y'all know who you are. If I went back and dug up some of y'all's comments from the beginning of the 2022 season about Brad Davis, there was a lot of people who were unhappy, displeased with the job he was doing and how the offensive line looked. And I kept reminding y'all, I don't know how many times I said this, they used 6 different offensive line combinations in the first 8 games. They were in fall camp still trying to decide who was going to play center. They were trying out guys that had never played center at the start of the 2022 season. Charles Turner hadn't won the job yet. If you remember, Garrett Dellinger started the season opener against Florida State in 2022, the game in the Dome, Brian Kelly's first game. Garrett Dellinger started that game at center. I mean, the fact that Brad Davis has been able to identify best positions for that line, mold them this year into one of the best lines in college football. I mean, maximized 2 true freshman tackles in 2022 anyway, and then has continued to recruit the way that they have. I mean, from obviously Will Campbell, Emory Jones, to Lance Hurd, DJ Chester, and I know Lance Hurd isn't there anymore, but you still landed a 5-star from in the state, and we know why he's gone. It was a money thing, and look what's going on in Tennessee right now. Trying to tell you all that. Anyway, and now look at Weston Davis, 5-star. You flipped from Texas A&M for 2024. Now you got Devin Harper already on board for 2025. I mean, it is so impressive. And, I know literally since the day Brian Kelly was hired, we talked about the 2 positions more than any other that he has pumped talent into the draft is tight end and offensive line, and he has not disappointed there. Brian Kelly hasn't. And clearly Brad Davis deserves a ton of credit for that. So LSU continues to build on the best class in the country for 2025. The number 1 class in the country just keeps on growing. And, Keelan Moses has been kind of the Pied Piper of this class, the one beating the drum and doing all the internal recruiting, right, among the class. And I think he tweeted something last night like, man, y'all should put me on payroll. So he's doing work. And how interesting that, after as contentious as it was when Dylan Moses, Les got fired, obviously, and Dylan, who'd been a long-time LSU commit, decided to go to Alabama instead. And how much that stung around here, that now Keelan, who's, one of the most gifted high school players in the state, certainly that and in a long time people talk about, is not only going to LSU, but he's banging the drum and being the Pied Piper to build what might end up being, we'll see, the highest rated class LSU's ever had. So it's fun, isn't it? It's fun to watch. You could see all the progress they're making, man. You could see Brian Kelly building this thing, and how fun it's going to be in 24, 25, 26 with all this talent coming through. All right, let's say some good mornings. Saints are still on the search for a new offensive coordinator. LSU men do not have a game this week. They'll play again on Saturday at home against Arkansas, one they got to get. And Senior Bowl going on. A lot happening, man. So y'all fire away. Trivia Carter, William Moore, Dalton Barnett, James McKinney, Matthew Stansberry, Von Bluesman. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, good morning. Zachary Hardy, still a long way to go, but this 2025 class is something serious. And you know what, Zachary? I think one of the questions that a lot of people have is, do you think they'll be able to keep the class together? And maybe this is naive on my part, but I do. And a big part of the reason why is a lot of times when you build a class like this, these guys want to commit and play together. They want to do it together. And there's two really clear, obvious examples of this in the past that are brought up. 2001, and that was Nick's first elite class, right? That became the cornerstone of that national championship. Marcus Spears, Michael Clayton, Marquise Hill, Andrew Whitworth, like all those guys decided we're going to go to LSU and we're going to do it. And then 2011, the class that they called the FAM, that had Jarvis and Odell and Lyle Collins and Anthony Johnson, like that great class as well. They called themselves the FAM, and it was like they wanted to all go do it together. And so they committed early and stayed committed. And this kind of feels similar to that. And look, you've got a lot of Louisiana guys, right? You got Harlan Berry, you got Jabari Antoine now committed, you got Devin Harper committed, Keelan Moses, J.D. LaFleur. I mean, all these guys, Brett Bordelon is in this class. Teron Francis out of Carr. I mean, the top two guys in the class are the top two guys in the class are Bryce Underwood and DeCorian Moore, and they're from out of state. But again, you got to work really hard to keep those guys in this class. But they committed so early, they're kind of helping bang the drum and be the Pied Pipers of this class. So as the class keeps getting better and better and better, it's kind of like, why would I leave this class? You know what I mean? Like, we got the best class in the country. Why would I leave this one? So anyway, Trey Fisher, good morning. Mark Vitanovich, good morning. AEW Wrestling tonight at Lakefront Arena. Okay. Sting's final wrestling performance ever. Sting still wrestling? Golly. Rick Manuel, good morning. Great addition to the class. I'm in Baton Rouge for work. Last night we ate Louisiana Lagniappe off Perkins. My first time there. Fantastic food. That is Erica's favorite place, Rick. Well, let me say this. Our favorite place is Rufino's. Her favorite meal, the way I always describe it, people laugh, is like fit of rage, she murders somebody, death row, final meal, what do you want to eat? Erica's picking the fish and papillote from Louisiana Lagniappe. Not even a question. That's her favorite meal in the world. Lowell Cormier, good morning. Mike Concho, what's up? Is 85 still on schedule for AFR? Need to confirm with him today, man. I know they were shooting yesterday, and so he's supposed to be flying today, but I kind of get the sense he flies, give the pun, by the seat of his pants a little bit. So I will confirm today, and Rocky Killian, hey Matt, just getting on. Should we feel optimistic about Terry Bussey? Rocky, listen. Full disclosure, I have no inside information about Terry Bussey. And for those that don't know who Terry Bussey is, he's a 5-star athlete for the class of 2024. He was committed to Texas A&M, and after Jimbo was fired, he didn't decommit, but he didn't sign in December. So he left the door open to possibly go elsewhere. And he's visiting LSU. He's visiting Texas maybe. Again, I don't have any inside information, but normally when something like that is happening, like when a flip is coming, normally there starts to be this groundswell, and ear to ground, people are talking, and it's coming. Like, I think the way that they've talked about this is, well, man, you never know what can happen. And that's a very different feeling than, oh yeah, he's not going to A&M. Like, so, and again, I'm not saying he's not going to A&M, okay? Don't clip that. I'm saying that was an illustration of how a conversation could go, right? So, um, uh, so if I had to bet, I would say I think he goes to A&M, but it's a guess. It's a guess. Zachary Hardy, Wacky Chris, what's up? Taylor Hudson, Don Tecco, Jason H, good morning. Rooney, what's good? Wendell Norman, Gary Petrie, Brett Gidry, Tim Gotro, good to see y'all. Don said, Matt, still don't get the Kevin Peoples hire. Why pay Bo Davis all that money only to have him coach the interior defensive line? That's not uncommon, Don, to have to split a staff that way. And my guess is that Kevin Peoples is probably going to spend a lot of time working with Harold Perkins as an edge rusher. And it's not to say there won't be times they work together. But sometimes it's about building a staff and having people on staff that you want. And listen, if Blake Baker likes and trusts Kevin Peoples and knows his defense and they work well together and he thought he had value, and Kevin Peoples is coached in the state of Louisiana, I get it. I mean, look, you did the same thing this, not that it was with great results, but I mean, you had a D-line coach, and then you had your jack linebackers coach, and then you had your linebackers coach, right? So is it much different than having a cornerbacks coach and a safeties coach? I mean, you're playing different positions. So anyway, I think it really comes down to, do you trust the way that they built the staff? So Barry Jocelyn, Taz, good morning. Ben Johnson going Brian Kelly to the Lions. Oh, going back, you put BK. I guess it means back to the Lions. Is a good look for the Saints, just in case DA stinks it up. Hey, that's actually a good point. If you end up firing Dennis Allen after this year, could you hire Ben Johnson? So for those that missed it, Ben Johnson, the OC of the Lions, who was one of the really hot names in this coaching carousel cycle, Ben Johnson decided not to take a head coaching job. The report from Schefter was that he asked for a giant pile of money, and both Washington and Seattle were like, eh. So he's like, all right, I'll go back to Detroit, go win a Super Bowl. And good for him. And I compared it to when Sean Payton came to the Saints. A lot of people don't remember this, but I first read about this in Payton's book. Home Team. There it is. Sean Payton, Home Team. It was after they won the Super Bowl. And Payton wrote about how in 2004, he was prepared to take the Raiders job. Like, he went to sleep on a Tuesday. He had a black suit and a silver tie. Like, he was going to be introduced as the Raiders head coach. And Bill Parcells called him and basically talked him out of taking the job and said it's not the right job. And I think it's hard for anybody when that's your ambition to turn down a head coaching job in the NFL. But sometimes it's worth taking a job that's going to set you up for success and be the right job instead of just a job. So, Peyton in 2004 passed on the Raiders. And then in 2006, it was Packers Saints. And he wanted the Packers job badly. And it was between him and McCarthy. And of course, the Packers picked McCarthy. And so Peyton ended up going to the Saints. But sometimes those things work out, right? Tara Walker, early morning here in Millington, Tennessee. What position group do you expect to have the most players transferring out to meet the 85 limit after spring? I think you're going to lose some cornerbacks. I mean, you got like 10, 11 scholarship cornerbacks. You're heavy there. You usually look at places like offensive line, wide receiver. Where you have position groups with a lot of bodies. It's typically where you'll see it. Jen Gari, morning Matt. Red Carmichael's going to the Broncos. True. Yep. Pete Carmichael hired by the Broncos. In one of the least surprising bits of news ever. Jacob Thompson, morning Matt. I'd like to tell you that ETSU in Tennessee is the worst college ever. I know someone that plays on the women's basketball team, and the coaches talk to her like a dog, call her fat and stuff opinion. That's terrible. But I don't know anything about East Tennessee, and I don't really have an opinion on it. If there's coaches belittling players like that, I don't think that's good. But I don't know anybody at East Tennessee. I don't know anybody on staff or players or any of that stuff. So, but what you're describing sounds terrible. Mo Thibodeau, good morning. Brian Wynn, good morning. Cajun Country, good morning. Thanks for Hudco yesterday. Let's see what happens next. Recruiting at LSU is elite. Hope they can keep all these guys, put together a good team. Guy Brooks, good morning. Happy hump day. Larry Connor, good morning. Got to give Brian Kelly credit. He really has brought great O-line talent to the program the past couple of years. The clock is ticking. He's got to win the Natty the next couple of years. Yeah, Larry, I disagree with you, man. You got to remember, the dude has a 10-year contract. Like, he doesn't have to win the Natty. He's got a 10-year contract, man. 90% of which is guaranteed. So, no, he doesn't have to win the Natty. Brian Kelly's not in any risk of going anywhere. Like, they're not firing him or anything like that. It's A&M can grit their teeth and write a $75 million check for Jimbo to go away. LSU can't do that. So, no, he doesn't have to win the Natty. The clock isn't ticking. He's building something sustainable. It's the opposite of what Lane Kiffin's doing at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is building something that is a boom or bust scenario in 2024. And after 2024, all that talent's gone, and you have to do it all over again. Brian Kelly's building something sustainable. Now, I don't know if it'll work, and maybe Kiffin's way is better, but when you're building something that's sustainable, you're more likely to look like Bama or Georgia instead of a one-off year where Tennessee wins, 10 games and has a Heisman candidate, and then boom, all of a sudden you're not. Let's see, Vaughn, Brad Davis earned major respect for the way he spoke to players when they played Kansas in the bowl game. Kansas State, but yes. Yeah, he did a great job. Kenyon Hudson, good morning. Saints are going to suck. Sad times coming. Spurge, good morning. Matt Lusto, Landon Weber, good morning. From Shintech, can't be easy overtime in morning Scone. All right, Landon, thanks for being there, man. Have a good day. Thomas, good morning. Seems like the baseball starting position players are pretty much set. Who is a surprise player we don't see coming that could crack the starting lineup? Yeah, Thomas, I don't know that I agree with that. Let's do this. This will be a fun exercise. Let's go look at who the starting 9 were on opening day last year for baseball. This will be fun. Hang on. Because no matter what you think is a given, very few things are. Like last year, Tommy White at third, Dylan Cruz in center, Jordan Thompson at short. Like, aside from that, pretty much everything was up for grabs. And as it turned out, it was. Pretty much everything was up for grabs. Here you go. All right, here was LSU's starting 9 for opening day last year. Paxton Kling and right, leading off. Alex Milazzo catching, batting second. Braden Jobert playing left and batting third. Dylan Cruz in center, batting fourth. Tommy White at third, batting fifth. Trey Morgan at first, batting sixth. Jared Jones DHing, batting seventh. Brady Neal. Oh, no. Sorry. Scratch that. Milazzo must have pinch hit for Kling and then went to catcher. Neal started at catcher and batted seventh. Sixth. Dugas played second, batted seventh. Jordan Thompson Shortstop at bat at 8th, Ben DePolt. Hang on. It doesn't say where they pinch hit. So it went Kling, Jobert, Cruz, White, Morgan, Jones, Neal, Dugas, Thompson. That was your starting lineup last year. Paxton Kling didn't finish the season as a starter. I mean, Trey Morgan played first and left. Bear Jones was in and out of the lineup. You didn't see Hayden Travinski. Brady Neal started, got hurt. You know what I mean? Like, the point is, whoever you run out there opening day, that ain't gonna be like, I will guarantee you that ain't gonna be your starting 9 when you finish the season with a dog pile in Omaha. It don't work that way. I think the givens, and even look, Jay Johnson said this last Friday when he met with reporters. He said, like, you're gonna have Tommy White at 3rd. You're gonna have Paxton Kling at one of the outfield spots. So we Paxton go. Put Paxton out there and go every day. Aside from that, I think Jared Jones will play first. Jay said that. So you'll have Paxton Kling in one of your outfield spots, probably center. I think your corner infield is set with Jones at 1st and White at 3rd. And everything else feels up for grabs, man. Like, you will platoon at catcher with Neal, Milazzo, and Travinski. And, maybe if Milazzo or Neal's catching, maybe Travinski DHs. You could have any number of combinations on your middle infield. I would assume Braswell will play somewhere in there at one of the spots. I'd assume Pearson will have one of your outfield spots. But you've got transfers coming in. You've got freshmen coming in that you have to see how they adjust and adapt, to playing at LSU, to playing in the SEC against this level of competition with this type of crowd and all the things that go with it. I mean, Mac Bingham is the guy they brought in, who Jay had at Arizona, who's a transfer and he's a senior and he's played a ton of ball. But is he going to be able to transition to this level in the SEC from the Pac-12? We'll see. Maybe. We'll see. Stephen Milam is a freshman infielder from New Mexico who they thought would sign. Ends up coming to school. They are super high on Jake Brown, who might end up starting in the outfield for you. He's also a left-handed pitcher, could play first base. He can play everywhere. I think they love Jake Brown. I mean, he could end up being a starter for you. You see my point? So, like, you just got a lot you still have to figure out here, man. So I don't know. I don't think, to you where it said like the position players are pretty much set. I disagree with that. I don't think the only thing it said is Kling is going to be one of the starting spots in the outfield. White and Jones will be your corner infielders. And then you're going to platoon at catcher. Aside from that, I mean, I'm assuming Pearson will have a spot in the everyday lineup. But there's a lot up for grabs, man. Jim Arsenault, Brent St. Germain, Tavanka De Silva, Michael Guidry, Kelly Gross. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Please smash the like button if you would there on YouTube. Subscribe up the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Noah Lejeune, good morning. If we hold on to all these high school recruits and keep this recruiting coaching staff together, 25-27 should be a lot of fun. Silo, what's up? Tremaine 318, good morning. Sounding great today. Abner Neal, what's up? Brian Penton. Good morning from San Antonio. Okay. Ryan Slayton, guess what day it is? Let's see, my friend Michael, good morning. Finished strong. They said Brian Kelly wasn't a fit in Louisiana, but he's a symbol of staff with more Louisiana ties than I can remember. Yeah, man. But I'll tell you this. I think, so you know how I feel about the word fit. I think it's a total farce. Just win. and I think Kelly, the way I've kind of described it is like, if you're his first staff here, I thought he did a good job of blending people that knew Louisiana, LSU, all that sort of stuff, and people that knew him, right? So you had Brad Davis from Baton Rouge had been on staff. He brought back Frank Wilson, brought in Cortez Hankton, who's from New Orleans. Like, he did a good job, I thought, of blending guys on staff who knew Louisiana and how to recruit the state and had ties here, and guys who knew him, his system, his culture, all that stuff. Mike Denbrock, Brian Polian, John Jancic, all those guys. But what you've seen is now where he was maybe like 50-50, he's gone like 95-5, right? Like, it's overwhelming people who understand this state, this high school landscape, recruiting Louisiana, the SEC, all that sort of stuff. Because if you're going to win here, it's a different formula than if you're going to win, like, literally anywhere else. So, Ryan Pike, good morning. I think last week OTB had McMahon on the show. I was wondering how y'all divvy up interviews between shows, especially with big names, or is it shows have their own connects? Yeah, so the tough part with me is most every team is practicing while I'm on air. So, like, I think I'm going to have Matt McMahon today because they're going to finish practice. So I talked to Kent Lowe yesterday. I should have Matt in hour 3 today. But generally, they're practicing, or in the case of basketball or baseball, like playing games, you're getting ready to play a game while I'm on air. So it's very hard to have those coaches on, during the season. And then I think there's just like a general understood respect of, like, if you have a recurring guest, it's sort of hands off. Like, I'm like, the guys in the morning have Nick Underhill on every week. Like, I'm not going to have Nick on. There may be a random one-off where I do, but like, I have Mike Triplett. They don't have Mike on, right? There's just so much content and good guests to go around. The other thing too is, I think you got to remember, if you're a P1 listener, like, you're there every day and you listen to all the shows, like, you're an outlier in terms of what the masses know. Like, the overwhelming majority of our audience catches 20-30 minutes a day. So, and usually it's around the same time, right? Based on your commute or whatever your schedule is. Like, most people don't listen to 3 hours every day. So there's a lot of people that wouldn't even know if we had the same guest on the same day. I mean, if you're someone who listens to the station all day, every day, you would know. But the masses wouldn't know, largely. But like, so there's times like Hunt will ask me, like today, for example, with the offensive lineman committee. Like, Hunt will probably ask me, hey, like, are you having a recruiting guy on? Like, just to make sure we don't have the same guy on. Like, maybe he has Billy Embody, I have Sam Spiegelman or something like that. So there's we'll communicate sometimes with stuff like that. Oh God, it's 8:01. Okay, I gotta go. Dane Bergeron, what's up? Any more? Razor, what's going on? Thank God for the podcast versions. Trent Delahousse, what's going on? Jay mentioned Pierce will play second to open the season. Okay, see? We'll see, and we'll see how it goes. When are you and Ocho doing the show? I'm going to reach out to him today, and we'll see if he's good. He said he'd be good for tomorrow or Friday. He said he'd fly in. So after he did where was he going? I forgot. He told me he was going somewhere, and then he was going to fly here. I'll reach out to him. Okay, I got to go. Matt Lusto said last back-to-back College World Series champions. Was it South Carolina? And it was inside the NFL. Thank you. That's where. Yep, because he was going to be with RC. That's it. It was inside the NFL. Was it South Carolina in 10 and 11? Or did Oregon State do it? I think Oregon State did it before then. I think South Carolina 10 and 11 was the last time we had back-to-back CWS champs. Yeah. Okay, I got to go. Y'all have an awesome day. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.